Angel Heart was released in 1987. This stars Robert De Niro, Mickey Rourke, and Lisa Bonet. And I had never heard of this film before. I don't know why I had never heard of this film before. This was a recommendation from somebody. They said it was awesome and that I should definitely check it out. And I looked it up and it sounded pretty cool. And I'm surprised I never heard of it because I love De Niro and I know almost everything he's in, and same with Mickey Rourke. Although Mickey Rourke's performance in this is very different than what I've seen Mickey Rourke performances be, such as The Wrestler, The Expendables. That's more so what I'm used to. But I really like the premise of this, the gist premise of it. I wanted to go into it as blind as I possibly could, and I'm very glad I did. So this is going to be a spoiler review, even though this is my first time watch of this. So just know that if you want to watch the film first, I strongly recommend you do because I'm going to be going into plot twists and stuff like that. But basically, we have Mickey Rourke as a lawyer and or attorney. He's one of them, and he gives this very New York or Brooklyn performance. He's got the accent down pat, and he's very noir. This film is extremely noir, with the saxophones and the seedy detective looks. You got the trench coats and everything. This actually takes place in 1955, so it is a period piece from the time. So coming out in '87, it's fully in '80. It might even be 1954. I think it's 1955 though, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm pretty sure that's what the title card said. Anyway, this lawyer gets into contact with Robert De Niro's character Cypher. His name is Cypher or Cypher Ray. Cypher Ray asks for a meeting with Mickey Rourke's character Harold. Harold Angel is his name. Mr. Angel. Mr. Cyphery, Louis Cyphery, basically tells Mickey Rourke that he's looking for somebody, and this person is named Johnny Favorite or Johnny Liebling. He goes by both names, Johnny Favorite, Johnny Liebling. This was a guy that was active in World War II and basically disappeared. He was known to come back from the war in some kind of coma and basically a vegetable. He was not able to function whatsoever. And he somehow disappeared from the hospital. He just essentially vanished. So Mickey Rourke is taken with a lot of money to pursue him, to go find this Johnny Favorite character. And he does, and he goes to investigate, and this leads him into a bunch of voodoo and cultish cultures and tribes, and this he goes down to Louisiana. So the first half of this film is mostly in New York, but then the second half, or a little bit more, is in Louisiana. So you get a lot of Louisiana in this, and it's very like hot and wet feeling. That's where the case leads him to anyway. Before he even gets there though, there's this doctor that he meets up with named Mr. Fowler. I forget his last name, but he's Dr. Fowler basically, and he meets up with him in his apartment. Great scene. He's very interrogative, Mickey Rourke, playing Harold's Angel, and he's like being sarcastic with him, and it's very like you could almost watch this film in black and white. It just speaks to that film noir era so well. And he's interrogating the guy. He knows that the guy keeps morphine in his fridge, and although he's a doctor, he's keeping way more morphine than he really needs, so obviously he's an addict. And Harold does something really dumb, in my opinion, and he basically is like, "Okay, I'm gonna go out for a burger, and I'll be back right, real quick, and just give me a second, and you wait for me, okay? And then you can go have your fix and go to La La Land or whatever." So he locks him in the bedroom, and he like locks the door and everything, and then he goes for the burger, which he leaves him basically like jonesing, right? So he's in withdrawal. It's a possibility that by the time Harold comes back, he could be dead. But anyways, that's what Mickey Rourke's character Harold does. So he comes back from the diner and he comes into the room, and of course he's dead. Not by withdrawal though, but he basically shot himself, and it looks kind of odd because it's his eye that's shot through. So unless he like shot himself through the eye, I don't know. And then he finds a Bible full of bullets, and like it's cut through and it has bullets inside, and he starts wiping everything down, and he starts wiping everything that he touched and stuff, and then he goes to meet Cypher again, and he's like, listen, I signed up for finding somebody. Now I'm a murder suspect potentially to the cops, and I'm out of this. I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, well, if he didn't wipe everything down and make everything seem sketchy, it was clearly a suicide. So I don't see how you would be found a victim or like a suspect, because it's clear, unless they know you locked him in the room. I don't know, but things don't really lead to him until he started touching everything and wiping everything down. That's when it seemed suspicious. But before that, it just like it seemed like the old doctor just offed himself kind of thing. So I don't see how he was worried about being a suspect. But regardless, he's saying he's out, and then Cypher offers him more money. And Cypher's this very like sophisticated kind of like evil looking guy. Like he's very sinister in his presence, and he's got these like rings, and he's got this like fancy beard and slick backed hair, and he's very, I don't want to say posh because posh is not the right word, but he's very like mustache twirling kind of thing. And I like De Niro's performance in this. You can tell it's De Niro, but he gives this like very rich guy, very intelligent psychopath, you could say, performance, and I really, really appreciated that. So there's the scene at the restaurant too where he's eating eggs and he's cracking an egg, and he cracks one and he says, "You know that a lot of religions believe that the egg is the symbol of the soul, and just remember that this film is full of symbolism." So anybody who has watched the film or is really good at piecing things together probably knows where I'm going with these things so far, everything that I'm saying. But he says a lot of religions believe that the egg is a symbol to the soul. I didn't know that, actually. I did not know that. Never heard of that, but it makes sense. The shape of the egg kind of thing, life giving, makes sense that it would be a symbol of the soul. So he is offered more money and he keeps on going. And like I said, this is what leads him to Louisiana. And then he meets this girl named Epiphany. Her name is Epiphany. She's played by Lisa Bonet. I think it's Bonet or it's Bonnet. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her last name. But she's very young in this film. And why this film is so popular and why it was recommended to me, and why this film merits so much, why it's not a classic really, but why so many people talk about it, which is funny how I never heard of it too, is because of the controversial role that Lisa Bonet plays. She was probably, at the time of filming, she was probably 18. She could have been 19 though. But in the film itself, she's playing a 17-year-old girl, and apparently she was in the Crosby Show. I wasn't aware of this because I never watched the Crosby Show, and she was popular there. And the Crosby Show was like a family show essentially. So people grew up with it, watching it as a family thing, and people grew up with Lisa Bonet as a family figure, family character, and then she goes on to play this young girl who has like a child, and she immediately gets into lust with Harold Angel's character, and Harold Angel's character is obviously all over her. This guy is probably in his 30s and 40s, but it's Lisa Bonet. Come on, he's so starstruck. It's funny when he meets her. He's just like, "You're so beautiful, Epiphany. Your name suits you." And he's like, she's in a farm and there's chickens everywhere, and he's tripping over the chickens. He's just so like simping over this girl. And she's washing her hair in this water spout kind of thing, and she's her face is wet, her hair is wet, and then she gets her entire top wet, and you can see directly through it. It's completely transparent. So Lisa Bonet is not shy in this film, and Lisa Bonet, like I said, was an adult doing it. So and yeah, she's just talking to him, having a regular conversation, no attention paid to her breasts exposed through her shirt, her white shirt, by the way. Harold is just like, he actually also goes by Harry Angel, but I keep saying Harold because Harry Angel, it just sounds weird. At least it's better than Harry Hole. For anybody who has either read the book Snowman by Joe Nesbo or watched the film The Snowman with Michael Fassbender. It's a Swedish author, and he made his protagonist Harry Hole. That's his name. Why? I don't know, translation problems, but it doesn't matter what country you're from, you should know that Harry Hole probably sounds a little bit weird to the Western audience. Regardless, this guy's name is Harry Angel or Harold Angel. And so he realizes, or eventually it's revealed that Epiphany, played by Lisa Bonet, is the daughter of the Johnny favorite character that he's searching for. And there's also this really funny beach scene I have to mention. It happens in New York, though, I think, where he goes to the beach and he's talking to this guy about finding what he wants to find. And he, the guy on the beach is he's just he's strange in a way where he's just giving like one word answers, but he just goes off topic a lot, and he wears a nose guard for sun tanning, even though I can't tell if it's warm or cold on this beach because you got Harold in a trench coat and there's wind blowing everywhere, and then you got the guy sitting on a beach chair shirtless tanning. It's like, is it freezing? Is it hot? I can't tell. It looks freezing, but the guy apparently wants to tan anyway. And he has a nose guard, and he gives Harold Angel a nose guard, and he's like, "Hey, it protects your face." So Mickey Rourke puts on the friggin' nose guard, and then he just carries on the conversation normally, and it's like it literally looks ridiculous. It looks like a Charlie Chaplin friggin' one of those masks that you wear with the glasses, except without the glasses, just the nose. It's just, and he's so anyway. So have you heard of you know Johnny Favorite? Have you heard of this guy who's wearing this nose thing? But anyway, I found that hilarious. In the Louisiana stuff, he's lured into like I said, the voodoo stuff. There's this scene where Lisa Bonet has a chicken, and I don't know if there was animal cruelty in this. This is 1987. We have Friday the 13th from 1980, where they actually killed a snake. So I wouldn't put it past this film actually killing a chicken. You have a lot of N words used in this film, used by white people. Actually, only used by white people. Funny enough, I think from what my recollection, she's dancing with a chicken, and she's dancing all convulsively kind of thing, and she slices the chicken's throat and then like bathes in its blood and everything. It's very horrific. Like I said, a controversial role for Lisa Bonet, and I can tell why. For anybody who doesn't know, Lisa Bonet, because I didn't know this either, is married to Lenny Kravitz, and they both had Zoe Kravitz. So Zoe Kravitz is Lisa Bonet's daughter in real life. So Lisa Bonet is doing this ritual, and Mickey Rourke's character Harold is watching through the bushes, like he's investigating secretly, and he notices there's this guy that's part of the cult too that ends up murdered. His name was Toots Sweet. There you go, Toots Sweet, and he's a guitar player in the South, and he was connected to Johnny as well. Another woman, Charlotte Rampling, shows up here. I didn't get to her yet. Charlotte Rampling plays in this, and she also knew Johnny Favorite. Charlotte Rampling's character, Mickey Rourke goes to talk to her, and she's like a tarot reader. She's into like the cultish stuff as well, and she's a tarot reader. She's a palm reader. He talks to her about him. She says he disappeared 12 years ago, and that's that. The story's done. There's nothing to talk about, and she's very avoidant on the subject. She doesn't want to touch it whatsoever. Charlotte Rampling, from where I know her from, is season 8 of Dexter. She plays the therapist in that show, and she pops up in a lot of great films. She's a very, very popular British actress who also speaks French. She was in the film 45 Years. She's in a film that I watched a while ago called Young and Beautiful, a French film. Yeah, she's in a lot too, so she pops up quite a bit. She's also in this film that I haven't seen called The Night Porter, I think. It's an older one, but it's on my list. It's released by the Criterion Collection. Anyway, she plays a character, like I said, that was connected to Johnny Favorite here, and it's nice seeing her in this role. She also ends up dead. So you've got a bunch of bodies showing up. You've got everybody wanting to get to Mickey Rourke or Harold. Everybody's chasing him. Everybody's showing up. Like, he's dipping his nose into places that he should not be dipping his nose into, and everybody is just after him like the plague and wanting him to get the fuck out of Dodge, basically. Things start getting intense. And I don't know if I've mentioned everything before the climax, but eventually Epiphany has a strong infatuation to Harold, like I said, and Harold is all over Epiphany. So Epiphany shows up at Harold's door where he's staying at his hotel or apartment or wherever he's staying. And she's just sleeping actually outside his door in the rain. And Harold shows up, and he's just like, "Hey, come in, you can come in." And she's all soaked and wet and stuff. Gives her a drink. asks her how old she is. She's like, I'm 17. And he's like, You're 17. Isn't that really young to have a kid? And she's like, Old enough. And she's sipping whiskey. And as soon as she says 17, that's my cue to get the hell out of there. But I looked it up. Apparently, the age of consent in Louisiana is 17 years old. So, knowing that, I'd probably be a little bit more lenient myself. So, you're totally okay, Harold. You're totally okay. It's Lisa Bonet after all, or Epiphany in this case. So they end up doing it, and this is the very controversial scene that Bill Cosby had a huge problem with, and he complained that Lisa Bonet's picture and image was being exploited, and her reputation on the Cosby Show was being ruined, and the whole, not just like the sex scene was the big straw, the big thing, but there was the chicken thing too, and the rituals and everything, and her image was just being destroyed. And how could you like destroy like such a childhood figure and exploit the hell out of her and stuff like that because she's so young and she's so innocent.
Oh, the irony.
But let's not get into that right now. There's this scene where this guy is killed in a massive, and I'm talking massive, pile of gumbo. You can take a bath in this thing. It looks delicious because it's huge and it's just boiling and it's making gumbo. I didn't even know they made gumbo in pots that big in Louisiana, but I gotta go to Louisiana and try some of that stuff because I love gumbo, and that sounds like a party if you're making that much gumbo. He's just stuck in there, and then his face is boiled. And there's a lot that happens in the third act. Like, it's very action packed, and there's a lot going on. So I'm probably going back and forth when things happen. But I'll get to the points anyway. Sometimes I might mention something that happens after something else, or vice versa. But this guy who was boiled in the pot, he ends up being the guy who reveals everything to Harold about where Johnny was, where he went, yada yada. He was, I forget his relation to. His daughter was Charlotte Rampling's character. Her name was Margaret. So his daughter was Margaret. Margaret was involved with Johnny, and Margaret got involved with the voodoo stuff very, very heavily with Johnny. Johnny got way deep into that. Johnny, like, basically, he's quoted as being as close to evil as you possibly can get, and he basically signed himself off to the devil, and then it's revealed that he, while he was in the war, grabbed this really, really young soldier and brought him and used him as a sacrifice. I think this guy might have been maybe between 16 and 18 or something like that. And he brought him to an apartment, and he like carved his chest open while he was alive and took his heart out while it was still beating. And this was all to sacrifice to like Satan and like really, really culty, devil worshipping voodoo stuff. Evil, evil, evil stuff. Basically, this is the reveal, so this is the big twist, if anybody wants to shut off right now, is that the soldier's name, the young one, was Harold Angel. And Johnny Favorite was Mickey Rourke's character the whole time, except he took on Harold Angel's memories, so he lives in Johnny Favorite's body. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, and he's living, or sorry, other way around. He lives in the young soldier's body, Harold Angel, and has Harold Angel's memories, but his soul is Johnny's. So it gets confusing there at the end, though, because like I'm wondering which body he's taking. Is he walking around in Johnny's body, or is he walking around in Harold's body? Because Lisa Bonet wouldn't recognize him either way, and that's the biggest mind fuck there is that he fucked his daughter. I've seen it before. It happened in The Samaritan with Samuel L. Jackson. Sorry if I spoiled that. My bad. But yeah, my bad. Anyway, yeah, so because Johnny is Epiphany's father, she never knew her mother. She knew her mother, sorry. She never knew her father. So she never seen him before regardless. And there's a line that she says before they have sex that her mother told her that Johnny was the best fuck she ever had. I guess they shared a guy. This film gets really, really fucked up by the end of the movie. Like it's wild. Yeah. use your imagination because I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I love this scene too, where it takes place in a church and Robert De Niro's character Cypher is in there. And by the way, his name Louis Cypher, Lucifer. He is the devil. So that's a reveal too, and he's in the church with Harold, Mickey Rourke's, and Mickey Rourke is like swearing and stuff, and he is saying some profanity stuff, and Robert De Niro is always like, "Watch your language. We're in a church. We're in a place of worship," kind of thing. And it's funny because he's the devil, but he's paying respect to Christianity. And here you got Harold play or Mickey Rourke's character Harold, like, churches give me the creeps. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any of that stuff. So you got Harold being the sacrilege guy, and Robert De Niro playing the devil, being respectful in the church. A little ironic, but I find that really funny too. That was cute and charming. Lisa Bonet and Mickey Rourke have some wild, wild, wild sex in many different positions, and then it starts raining blood on them because it's raining and the water is coming from the roof and it's dripping all over the place, and it starts to turn red. So they're basically fucking in a shower of blood, or yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. So that scene is pretty hot. And then, like I said, it's revealed, or eventually it's revealed to Harold from this guy who's the father of Margaret, played by Charlotte Rampling, everything that I said about him selling his soul, kind of thing. So that's it. The movie basically ends like that, and then he runs to his apartment where he left Epiphany, and Epiphany is of course dead, and she's dead in a pretty brutal way. There is another death from another character that is described, also pretty brutal. He technically died from genital asphyxiation. Use your imagination on that one. And then, yeah, Lisa Bonet's character is dead. And it also turns out that Louis Cypher was controlling Johnny Favorite slash Harold because he has a soul. So it was Harold that was committing all the murders, and he's responsible for them. And the Louisiana police arrest him, kind of thing, prosecute him. Sorry, prosecute. Lost the word there in my head. Prosecute him for everything, and he goes to prison. And the final line in the film is like, you're gonna burn for this, right? And Mickey Rourke's like, yeah, I am gonna burn in hell. And then the credits roll immediately, but it cuts between credits and him taking an elevator shaft down, so it's symbolizing him going to hell. This film is so good, and it's such a surprise because I'd never heard of it. And thank you so much, if you're watching, for recommending this. I am glad you introduced me to this, and I was introduced to this, and I was looking for it on Blu-ray, but I couldn't find it, and maybe the Blu-ray's hard to find, but hopefully they give this a nice 4K release, or some company like Scream Factory or Shout Factory, or I can see maybe Severin releasing this, possibly, but I can definitely see Shout Factory releasing this with a nice slipcover and 4K and Blu-ray. But yeah, that's basically Angel Heart. I had a great time with it. It's wild. The first half of the film is really slow and seems just like your average late 80s, early 90s thriller. But the second half of the film starts to pick up really, really well. So some people might need a bit of patience for the first half because it's more seedy detective, talky kind of stuff. But when it gets going, and Lisa Bonet doesn't show up until halfway through the film, but when she does, that's when shit starts to pick up, and it's got a great cast. Like I said, I've never seen Mickey Rourke like this. I love his character in this film. Robert De Niro always delivers as usual. It's to be expected. And Lisa Bonet, this is the first film I've ever seen her in. I don't like. I'd never really heard of her, honestly. I should look up more roles and more of her work because I don't know if she debuted in this film, but damn. And then Charlotte Rampling is also a great actress. Loved seeing her. Loved this film, so props to this one, and this was one hell of a surprise for me. So thank you so much for bringing it to my attention. And that's Angel Heart from 1987. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.